Hello everyone, and welcome to the channel. This is Six Path Weeb, where fanfiction meets fate and legends are rewritten. Today's story explores a powerful twist in the Naruto universe, the impact of two swords on Naruko's fate. How much can two blades change the course of a shinobi's life? We're about to find out. Disclaimer. This content is created purely for entertainment and discussion. I do not own any of the anime footage used. All rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, settle in. Let's dive deep into the story and see how destiny is forged, one blade at a time. Let's begin. Naruko slowly walked away from the defeated Hoshige Kisame, dragging the unique sword, Seimata, behind her. It was a symbol of triumph, evidence of her strength and resolve in overcoming a powerful opponent from the Akatsuki. Her steps were slow, her body exhausted, and her energy nearly depleted, but she pressed forward, searching for her teammates. As she moved, she left a small trail behind her, a mark of her journey. Eventually, she stumbled upon a scene she had hoped never to witness. There stood Pain, clearly injured and worn, across from the still form of her beloved mentor, Jiraiya. The expression on Naruko's face changed as her emotions surged. She had rarely felt such intensity, and the power within her stirred. Pain struggled to stand, his body weakened from the intense battle with Jiraiya. Despite everything, he acknowledged the strength his former teacher had possessed. As he turned at the sound of approaching footsteps, he was suddenly struck by a powerful force, Seimata's energy resonating through him. In his final moment of consciousness, Pain realized his vision had not been fulfilled. Naruko's voice was steady but strong. "You were trusted to make the world better, but instead you brought harm to it. Master Jiraiya believed in you. I only hope that, one day, you reflect on that." Though Naruko rarely allowed herself to be overcome by emotion, Jiraiya had been incredibly important to her. A tear rolled down her cheek as she knelt beside him. She performed the Kushios no Jutsu, summoning the great toad boss, Gamabunta. "What is it this time, Naruko? Wait, oh no. Jiraiya. What happened?" the large toad asked, his voice filled with sorrow. "It was Pain," Naruko responded softly. "I see. Let's honor him properly then. Shall we begin the farewell?" "Hi." Together, Naruko and Gamabunta performed the hand signs to give Jiraiya a respectful send-off. A soft flame surrounded the old sage's body, returning him to nature with dignity. Only his headband plate remained, lying undamaged on the ground. Naruko picked it up with quiet reverence. "It's made from something ancient," Gamabunta explained. "I wish Jiraiya could have presented it to you himself, but I believe he'd be proud. You are the new Toad Sage now. This isn't how it should have happened, but sometimes, life doesn't follow the paths we hope for. Wear it with pride. I will tell Lady Tsunade." Naruko's eyes widened slightly. "You knew my parents?" "I did. They were remarkable. But that's a story for Tsunade to tell. Now go to your friends, they're just north. I'll be off now. And that sword? It suits you." With a puff of smoke, Gamabunta vanished. Naruko stood quietly for a moment, then replaced her Konoha forehead protector's plate with the sage one. She shouldered Seimata and headed toward the rest of her team, her mind swirling with memories and emotions. At just 15, she had grown into a capable shinobi, one recognized across the world, and now she carried the legacy of a sage. Along the way, her thoughts drifted to Sakura. Their bond had grown stronger recently, a warm connection that brought comfort in these difficult times. Hinata had also expressed her feelings, but Naruko had gently explained that her heart was already focused elsewhere. Their conversation had ended with mutual respect and a stronger friendship. As she neared a familiar group of figures in the distance, a wave of calm came over her. Her friends were safe. Meanwhile, on the battlefield, Sakura was checking through the group, ensuring everyone was accounted for and tended to. Some were injured, but all were alive and able to return to the village. Ino called out, "Sasuke had been found." Sakura hurried over, her heart racing. The sight of Sasuke brought a flood of old memories, both sweet and confusing. Yet something was off. He didn't feel like the same person she once cared for. Sasuke looked around at them and gave a small laugh. "So you finally caught up. You're late, as usual. I've already done what I set out to do." "Your team is gone, Sasuke," Sakura said with resolve. "We're here to bring you back to the village. It's our responsibility." Sasuke responded with a smirk. "Konoha won't punish me. I carry the Sharingan. There's only so much Lady Tsunade can do before others step in." Sakura's heart sank. This wasn't the teammate she remembered. The others around her, including Ino, shared her disappointment. It was clear that Sasuke had changed. Her mind wandered back to happier times, Team 7's early days. But most of those moments weren't filled with Sasuke, they were with Naruko. Then, before Sakura could react, Sasuke suddenly leaned forward and pressed a kiss to her lips. For a moment, she froze, caught in old feelings. But they weren't there anymore. There was no spark. No warmth. She opened her eyes to see Naruko approaching, the sight breaking her trance. Naruko. Naruko saw them gathered, with Sakura kneeling beside Sasuke. Her heart paused when she witnessed the kiss, only to feel a deep calm wash over her moments later. She had made peace with her feelings. This was not the time for confusion or hurt. It was time to move forward. Putting on a soft smile, she walked into the group. "If everyone's ready, let's prepare to return," she said gently. "Hinata, could you make sure Sasuke's chakra points are sealed? We don't want any surprises." Sasuke sneered. "No welcome back hug, Naruko? I thought we were close?" Naruko stepped forward, gently placing Seimata's edge near his chin, her expression calm and clear. "We're teammates. That's all. You're coming back with us. Nothing more, nothing less. Let's move." Everyone around her nodded silently. Hinata performed the necessary technique, and soon the group began packing up. Sakura wanted to say something, but Naruko had already taken a seat to meditate, her large sword resting in front of her. In the quiet of her meditation, Naruko suddenly heard a voice, not from a teammate or even the nine-tailed fox. "Pick me up, child. We need to talk." Her eyes opened slowly. The sword, Seimata, was glowing softly. "I am before you," the voice continued. "Hold me. I will show you what must come next." As soon as she grasped the hilt, she was transported into her inner world, standing before the familiar cage of the tailed beast. But the voice came not from the fox, it came from a form shaped like Kisame. "I took this shape to speak to you. I seek a new master, someone worthy. You are that person. What do you seek?" Naruko replied, "I seek connection. I want to protect those I love and help bring peace to our world." "Then I choose you," the spirit said. "But we have more to do. I sense my sibling, a sword also seeking purpose. Find it. Listen closely, it calls to you." With a flash, Naruko returned to the present. Guided by Seimata's subtle pulse, she walked calmly across the field until she found it, Kubikiri Hocho, the massive cleaver once wielded by Zabuza. Suigetsu lay nearby, unconscious but stable. As she picked up the sword, a wave of harmonious energy surged around her. Her teammates watched in awe as Naruko, now holding both legendary blades, stood with quiet strength. The past was behind her. The future awaited. And so, the journey continued, this time, not just as a ninja, but as a sage of toads, a wielder of legendary swords, and a protector of hope. "So sister, we meet again. Under better circumstances than I could ever hope for." "Yes, sister. Indeed we do. And isn't our prospective wielder one of promise? I've rarely seen such potential waiting to be discovered. We must guide her properly." "Of course, sister." Naruko, having listened long enough, decided to make herself known. With a shout, the two entities turned to see a slightly flustered Naruko and a curious fox spirit at her side. "Why does Kubikiri resemble Zabuza's style? I thought Suigetsu was your last wielder?" "My wielder was indeed Suigetsu, but the one I truly resonated with before him was Zabuza. He wasn't my master in the traditional sense, just like Kisame wasn't to Seimata, but we shared understanding. I was later carried by Suigetsu without my choice. You were meant to be my rightful partner, Naruko, but you left the land of waves. Why didn't you respond when I called?" I didn't hear anything." "That's because you were still unsure of your journey back then. You didn't know what path to walk. It's for the best you didn't claim me then, you weren't ready. But you are now. And how do you know I'm ready? Because you've found your courage. You've grown, learned, and faced challenges with grace. You no longer let doubt cloud your heart. You're exactly who we've waited for. We were always meant to work as one, all three of us. But how do I carry both of you? I don't even have holsters for swords. Simply place Seimata on your back at an angle, and it will attach using your chakra. Then place me on the opposite angle. Don't worry, we won't slow you down. In fact, you'll barely notice us. You're already able to wield both blades easily. That is the clearest sign, you're meant to be our master. Now go. Your friends are waiting for you." Naruko emerged from her mindscape to find Kiba waving a hand in front of her. She blinked away the lingering thoughts and smiled before gently pushing his hand away, assuring him she was fine. Kiba shrugged and walked off. All eyes turned to Naruko as she reached down and picked up Seimata, slinging it across her back. Just as the blade had promised, it adhered perfectly. She then lifted Kubikiri and placed it opposite. The second sword locked into place seamlessly. There were gasps all around as they watched her handle the massive swords like they weighed nothing. Sasuke had been secured atop Akamaru, with Sakura walking beside him. Naruko didn't feel like waiting for a slow journey, so she formed a summoning seal. A huge toad appeared, almost as large as Gamabunta. Naruko spoke quietly, and the toad nodded before allowing everyone to climb aboard. With chakra grounding their feet, the group sped toward Konoha on their Toad Express. Naruko remained silent the entire ride, lost in thought, unaware of Sakura's quiet glances in her direction. Meanwhile, in the Hokage Tower, Tsunade finally dried her eyes. She missed her friend deeply, but she couldn't afford to lose composure, not with so much responsibility still resting on her shoulders. A loud boom from outside startled her, and she looked out to see a giant toad arriving at the gates. She recognized one of the shapes immediately. "Naruko," she whispered. "So, the new Toad Sage returns. The youngest ever." Without delay, she left her office and rushed toward the gates. Naruko didn't speak to anyone but walked straight to Tsunade. The older woman noticed the large sword strapped to her back and opened her mouth to comment, but Naruko cut in with a firm voice. "You. Me. Office. Now." That was all the explanation needed. Tsunade followed, blinking at the maturity in Naruko's tone. Along the walk, she noticed Naruko had lost her jacket in battle. Her orange pants and mesh top were all she wore now, and her headband, newly inscribed with the kanji for oil, rested proudly on her forehead. A gift, clearly, from Jiraiya. Back in her office, Naruko placed the swords by the wall and sank into a chair, visibly tired. Tsunade frowned as she looked into Naruko's eyes. The young girl looked far older than her 15 years. "I suppose you know about Jiraiya," Naruko said softly. "Bunta must have told you." Tsunade nodded quietly. "He knew you cared about him," Naruko added with a gentle smile. "He would have appreciated your tears." They shared a quiet, bittersweet moment. "We succeeded. The Akatsuki's plans have been stopped. Sasuke was retrieved, he's with the others. Sakura can give you a full report. I was elsewhere, engaged in battles far from the group. I'd like to rest before I resume my Toad Sage responsibilities. Also, I'll be overseeing the spy network now." "Wait, Naruko, is something else bothering you? Something personal?" Naruko gave a small, sad smile. "I just realized something, Tsunade. I may never have a place in the heart of the one I care about most. Maybe, away from here, I can find peace and people who understand me." Tsunade's voice cracked slightly. "Please, stay for a little while, Naruko. I could use the support. Be my strength, just for a bit." Naruko stood, walked around the desk, and hugged her warmly. "I'll be your pillar, Tsunade." Through her tears, Tsunade thought, "You've always been a source of strength, Naruko." Then Naruko asked, "Tsunade, who were my parents?" She paused. Tsunade had hoped Jiraiya would be there for this moment. But it was time. "Okay. This may come as a surprise. Want some tea?" Later. Sakura had brought Sasuke to the proper authorities and then made her way to visit Ino. The conversation was short but intense. "Ino, I think I made a mistake. I kissed Sasuke. And I felt nothing. I kept thinking of someone else." Ino blinked. "Who?" "Naruko." That was not the answer she expected. "Wait, Naruko? The same girl who's always protected you? Who supported you no matter what?" "Yes. I think I care for her." "Well then, you need to tell her. Naruko's not the kind of person who'll wait around forever. You need to be honest." Sakura nodded. "Thank you, Ino." After learning her parents were Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze, Naruko was silent. Tsunade had taken her to the family's estate. It was large, beautiful, and full of warmth. She found a photo in the master bedroom, her mother pregnant, her father with his hands gently on her belly. Naruko cried for hours, realizing she had been loved, deeply and fully. Sakura searched for Naruko for days, desperate to speak to her. Eventually, Tsunade gently told her that Naruko had left on a mission as the new Toad Sage. "If you love her, Wait for her, Tsunade said. She's one of the few truly worth waiting for. At the border of the land of fire. Naruko sat under a tree, her swords planted before her. In her mind, the spirits of Seimata and Kubikiri stood beside her. First, said Seimata, you must learn to manifest us. Begin with one. Watch closely. The shark-like spirit formed and demonstrated graceful, powerful sword forms. Perform these movements until they're second nature. Then you'll learn both blades. Your path to becoming Hokage begins here. With our guidance, nothing is beyond your reach. Naruko nodded firmly. I'm ready. Teach me the way. Seimata grinned. Let the training begin. A few days after Naruko had left the village for her training journey, Sakura was summoned before the Konoha Council to provide her version of the recent events. The remaining members of the Rookie 9 and Team Guide joined her as quiet observers, anxious about what would unfold. While many on the council had grown to appreciate Naruko and her unwavering loyalty, a few, like Danzo, continued to view her with suspicion. The old councilman had long held on to outdated ideas and mistrust, always watching for opportunities to assert control. In the center of the room sat Sasuke, composed but confident, seemingly believing Sakura would speak in his favor. He expected his actions to be excused and anticipated returning to his clan duties without consequences. The air in the room changed when Tsunade, the fifth Hokage, cleared her throat and addressed the gathering. As you are all aware, Jiraiya has passed on during one of his missions. In his memory, Naruko Uzumaki and I have arranged a monument to honor his legacy. But today, we gather to discuss the matter of Uchiha Sasuke. The room fell silent. The floor is now open for comments and evidence related to Sasuke's case, Tsunade stated clearly. One council member raised a hand. Toad Sage? Namikaze Naruko? Who is that? If she's taken Jiraiya's role, then I should be named the next Snake Sage as the current holder of that contract. Tsunade, visibly annoyed, slammed her hand on the table, shaking the room. That kind of talk is inappropriate, especially given the gravity of today's meeting. This is not about titles. Sasuke stands here today for a serious review of his actions, and we will handle this with the focus it deserves. Danzo stood to speak next, his voice steady but his tone troubling. I believe Sasuke should be contained and monitored permanently. The Sharingan is a powerful tool and must be preserved, but under our control. I propose long-term containment, without release, for the safety of the village. Several council members nodded in agreement, and hands were raised in support of the proposal. Tsunade looked displeased but remained composed. Before she could speak, Sasuke interrupted, his voice loud and full of frustration. You can't do this. I'm an Uchiha. My clan helped build this village. I deserve a seat at this table, not chains. I've contributed. I defeated Orochimaru, and I tracked down my brother. Do these actions count for nothing? From the other side of the room, Hiashi Hyuga stood and responded calmly. Your actions were your own. Betraying your village, fighting against your comrades, and aiding forbidden activities, these are not minor errors. Loyalty matters. One person does not define a clan. Sasuke scoffed. The Uchiha are elite. This council should know better than to let the clan disappear. Right, Sakura? All eyes turned to Sakura. She took a deep breath. Her friend's encouraging expressions reminded her of what was at stake. I remember what I said back then, Sasuke, she replied evenly. But I was younger, and I didn't understand what true loyalty and friendship meant. You never cared about the people who cared about you. And if I'm being honest, why do you sound like Orochimaru? It's unsettling. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Because. He's part of me now. A hushed murmur swept through the room. Is he sealed? Tsunade asked sharply. No, Sasuke replied. I'm controlling it with sheer will. Sakura stepped forward. Naruko never relied on shortcuts. She faced everything head on. She could have chosen anger, but she didn't. She never turned her back on her village, even when things were unfair. She's shown more strength in her kindness than most of us have with power. Shikaku Nara stood up beside Hiashi. I change my vote. Sasuke's actions have endangered our future. We can no longer overlook this. A chorus of agreement followed. Sasuke's confident demeanor started to crack. Danzo raised his voice. We cannot afford to lose the Sharingan. It's a valuable resource. Tsunade narrowed her eyes. Danzo, your ambitions are known. I've overlooked them long enough. Sai entered the chamber, kneeling with calm precision. I want the truth about Root, Tsunade commanded. Sai looked at Danzo, then stood resolute. I remember what was done to me. The training, the conditioning. I remember how my emotions were taken. But since traveling with Naruko and Sakura, I've learned the importance of bonds, emotions, and free will. I believe Root should be disbanded, and Sasuke's actions judged accordingly. Danzo, now desperate, called out to his hidden operatives. Protect me. Masked shinobi appeared around him. But instead of following orders, they turned and peacefully removed Danzo from the chamber. No violence, no chaos, only resolution. All eyes turned to Sasuke. His posture stiffened, and then a strange voice echoed from him. Tsunade. I will not be denied. He is my vessel. It was the voice of Orochimaru. Hiashi wasted no time. With careful precision, he activated his Byakugan and suppressed the influence of the invader, gently sealing away the corrupted chakra points. Tsunade sighed and looked around the room. It's done, she said softly. Let's learn from this. Let's grow better. I won't let our village be clouded by past mistakes or desires that lead us astray. Someone asked quietly, Tsunade-sama, what should we do with Orochimaru's influence? Cleanse it, she replied. Let the past rest. Let our future be brighter. She turned to the gathered young shinobi. Come with me to my office. I have something important to share. Back in her office, Tsunade poured herself a small cup of tea. She took a deep breath, then addressed the group kindly. I know today was difficult. You saw a classmate face judgment. That's never easy. But now, I want to talk to you about Naruko. She's not just our friend, she is the new Toad Sage, and her path will take her far from the village. Her responsibilities are immense. Kiba spoke up, surprised. Wait, Toad Sage? Our Naruko? Tsunade smiled. Yes. And not just that. Her real name is Namikaze Naruko. She is the daughter of the fourth Hokage, Namikaze Minato. The room went quiet. Lee bowed his head, tears forming. She is truly extraordinary. And still my greatest rival. He stood tall and shouted with passion, I shall train even harder and wait for her return with the most youthful of spirits. Everyone laughed, the mood lightened. Just then, Anko ran in excitedly. Tsunade-sama. My curse mark. It disappeared. Tsunade smiled warmly. You're free now, Anko. Truly. Orochimaru no longer holds sway. We'll talk later about the snake contract. Anko beamed and ran off joyfully. Everyone began to leave, but Sakura stayed behind. Shisho, she said softly. Do you know when Naruko will return? Tsunade shook her head. No. But if you care for her, be ready when she does. Don't waste time with regret. Sakura nodded. Even if she's changed. She'll always be Naruko to me. Tsunade gave a knowing smile. Then fight for that. And make it count. Sakura looked out the window, toward the horizon, with renewed hope. I will. After 4 months of dedicated training, Naruko had become so proficient with the Kubikiri Hocho that it felt as light and natural as a feather in her hands. Seimata, always a strict teacher, pushed her further by making her perform katas of many styles, some of them long forgotten. The essence of the unfinished Kubikiri technique was raw and powerful, focused on precision and momentum rather than elegance. It was all about learning how to use the blade efficiently, minimizing wasted movement and ensuring that the sword's weight didn't hinder her speed. By the end of the first week, Seimata decided that Naruko was still moving too quickly. To challenge her further, he added additional weight to both the sword and her body. Without focusing chakra to her feet, even a single step left deep impressions in the ground. When she was finally able to flow through all the forms with grace and ease, Seimata announced that her training with Kubikiri was complete. The next stage would focus on mastering Seimata itself. Channeling her chakra into Kubikiri, the spirit of Zabuza appeared and picked up one of the nameless Zanbetos that Naruko had obtained in the Mist Village. Now then, Naruko, Zabuza said, it's time to learn how to fully wield Seimata. You will not unlock our full potential until you have mastered us both, first individually, and then as a team. No one has ever successfully wielded 2 Zanbetos in tandem before. This will become your signature style. He continued, Seimata is much heavier than Kubikiri. While you can already wield it effectively, a long battle will test your endurance. We need to further develop your strength and stamina. If you thought Kubikiri was challenging, you're in for something even greater. Now, begin, 2,000 slashes in each direction, up, down, side to side, diagonally, and finish with thrusts and spins. Once you can complete them for 2 hours without pause, we'll begin katas specifically designed for Seimata. Let's begin. It took Naruko another 6 months of focused effort before she could wield Seimata comfortably in extended combat, up to 3 hours without losing form. Seimata's techniques revolved around fast, sweeping motions and energy disruption. According to Kisame, it was like shaving chakra from an opponent. Together, the two Zanbetos taught Naruko that Seimata was the lead blade most of the time, breaking through defenses and disrupting chakra, allowing Kubikiri to strike cleanly. She began to realize that being fair in battle wasn't always practical. Her mission was to obtain intelligence through whatever non-harmful means necessary, and that meant using her tools effectively and creatively. After being away from Konoha for a year and a half, Naruko had reached a level where she could begin mastering the dual-wielding style. She returned to the mist to acquire 2 more nameless Zanbetos. With ease, she could train properly, wielding 2 while the spirits of her mentor blades attacked using the other 2. Wielding 2 massive swords was like performing a complicated dance. It required balance, timing, and absolute focus to avoid the weapons clashing. This sparring lasted for weeks. The 4 nameless training blades became battered and dull from intense sessions. The master blades agreed. Naruko was ready for the final test. They stood before her, prepared for one last challenge. "All right," Seimata said firmly. "Today you will complete your training and earn the right to lead us. There can be no missteps. This ends only when you've outmatched both of us. Understood?" Naruko nodded with calm determination. The 2 master blades lunged toward her, swinging from opposite sides. Naruko bent backward gracefully, planting her blades in the ground, using the momentum to flip backwards and land in a crouch. She retrieved her weapons and adopted her stance, one sword held vertically, the other in a reverse grip across her body. With precision and power, she struck first. She spun toward Seimata, shattering the blade wielded by the spirit with a clean hit. Without pause, she turned on Kubikiri, delivering a strong blow that knocked the second training blade from his grip. As her feet landed, she rolled back and stood tall, focused and ready. "You haven't succeeded yet," Kubikiri reminded her. The spirit of Kubikiri grabbed Seimata's arm and sent him spinning toward Naruko. Thinking quickly, she blocked the incoming strike and gently knocked Seimata back to Kubikiri with a well-placed kick. "Time to finish this," she thought. Naruko widened her stance and began to move with rhythmic grace. Holding one sword in front, blade aimed at her opponents, and the other behind, she began to spin, becoming a small, focused whirlwind. Channeling wind chakra around her blades, she sharpened their dulled edges and closed in. The master blades were surprised by the intensity and elegance of the cyclone. As the vortex closed in, they were swept off their feet and drawn into its center. With a focused movement, Naruko landed twin strikes on the 2 figures, completing her test. The illusionary forms of Zabuza and Kisame faded away, and the 4 training blades fell to the ground. Naruko stepped forward, picked up her newly mastered swords, and plunged them into the earth. She closed her eyes and entered her mindscape, where she was greeted with the sound of gentle applause. "Well done, Naruko," the voices said warmly. "You've proven yourself worthy. Mastering dual Zanbetos is a remarkable achievement. Your style will be remembered and respected. There is only one final task left. You must now create your own blade," the voice explained. "Break the blade of Kubikiri at the hilt. Then, channel as much chakra as you can into the handle. Your heart will guide the form of the new weapon." Naruko nodded and returned to the real world. She braced the hilt of Kubikiri and carefully snapped the blade free. Moving away from Seimata to prevent accidental chakra absorption, she focused her chakra into the handle. She cleared her mind, her thoughts focused and steady. Gradually, the shape of a new sword began to form, shimmering with energy. As it solidified, she opened her eyes. Before her stood a magnificent blade, 6 feet long, 5 inches wide, with elegant serrations along its edge. It gleamed blue, though in certain light it appeared silver, yet it cast no reflection. At the base, delicate kanji were etched. Naruko read the words aloud. "The way of the Zanbeto is the way of strength. Its purpose is to protect peace. The will of the wielder gives the blade its edge and brings light to those who seek it." "Is this your creed, Kubikiri?" she asked softly. "No, master," the voice responded. "These are your own thoughts, brought to life through the blade. This sword is an extension of your spirit. Let your heart guide you, Naruko. You deserve happiness. We will help you find it, even if you do not yet know what you seek." "What do you mean?" Naruko asked quietly. "In time, you will understand. For now, let us return to your mission. You've been away from the information network too long. The Chunin exams are coming soon in Konoha. Let us see what awaits. Naruko secured her new weapons on her back and turned toward the road, eyes filled with purpose. Yes, she said with a soft smile. Let's finish this and return home. I want to see Konoha again. One last thing, Master, Seimata said, its voice steady and full of pride. You've unlocked my true form, and it truly is impressive. But there's one more ability I possess that may be of great help to you. Is that so, Seimata? Naruko asked with curiosity sparkling in her eyes. You can do more than just absorb chakra? Indeed, the sword replied confidently. The chakra I absorb doesn't simply vanish. It is stored inside me. I can then shape that chakra into any jutsu you've performed while holding me, as long as you've done so at least once. Wait, really? Naruko asked, raising an eyebrow. You mean you can recreate a Rasengan? Or even a shadow clone technique? As long as I've done it while wielding you? Exactly, Seimata confirmed. No other wielder has ever unlocked this potential. You, Master, are the first one worthy. Now, hold me in your left hand and form a Rasengan in your right. Naruko did as instructed, gripping Seimata in her left hand and holding it steady while forming a Rasengan in her right. The chakra spun in her palm, the energy familiar and vibrant. Then she felt a subtle pull from Seimata and looked over, her eyes widened. At the tip of the sword, a perfect Rasengan was forming, glowing brightly. There it is. Ready when you are, Seimata said proudly. No way. That's amazing, Naruko breathed, her expression full of awe. Can you move the chakra anywhere on the blade? Yes. I can place it anywhere on my surface. Why do you ask? Because this could change everything, Naruko said thoughtfully. If I swing you with the Rasengan charged exactly at the point of contact. That could be incredibly effective. The only concern is how much chakra you drain mid-battle. I might have a solution, Seimata offered. When we reach the nearest town, rest and recharge. Then, I'll show you something that may help with your energy management long-term. What do you have in mind, partner? Naruko asked with interest. We're going to supercharge me, the sword said confidently. With the amount of chakra you hold, I can absorb it and store it for future battles. That way, you won't have to give as much during combat. Naruko smiled as she walked onward, the plan forming clearly in her mind. She silently gave thanks for the sword she'd bonded with on her travels. Their conversation was far more encouraging than the silence of her past. The spirit of the Nine Tails, whom she hadn't spoken to in years, seemed to rest quietly now. All right team, we're heading to the next town. Once we get Seimata charged up, we'll report to the network and then return to the village. Let's keep everyone sharp. She moved swiftly, her speed heightened from years of training, even while wearing weighted gear and carrying her dual blades. She arrived at the town within 2 hours and checked into an inn. The receptionist had given her an odd look at the sight of the massive swords on her back, but she was used to that by now. Her bed was soft, but it lacked the warmth of home. As Naruko lay back, she allowed herself a moment to dream, of home, of laughter, and of memories she longed to make real. After grabbing some food and a quick shower, she returned to the room and sat cross-legged on the bed, placing Seimata in front of her. She rested her hands on the sword and began channeling chakra into it. Time passed as she poured her energy into the blade. An hour later, she was drained but amazed. She still had reserves, even without accessing the Nine Tails power. Inside her mindscape, Seimata and Kubikiri were already deep in conversation. She has more chakra than we expected, Seimata murmured. More than 20 elite shinobi combined, Kubikiri replied. She'll be able to use stored techniques for a long time with what she gave you. We chose well, didn't we? Indeed, Kubikiri agreed. Other wielders were skilled, but they were bound by tradition. Naruko is unshaped by expectation, and that gives her limitless potential. She's courageous, too. And kind. I hope she finds the happiness she keeps holding back from, Seimata said softly. She still feels pain from what happened with the Uchiha boy, Kubikiri added. But it's her path to walk. We'll support her however we can. When Naruko awoke, she set out to ensure that her information network was functioning properly. Over the next few months, she met with her contacts, reinforced alliances, and maintained the delicate balance of order across various regions. She traveled light but was always alert, her senses honed. Her new battle cloak, a gift from Asuna Taylor, flowed behind her as she moved. Weighted in the shoulders for added training, it protected her upper body and caught the wind with a gentle whoosh. Life, for now, was steady. That was until she heard the sound of shouting in the distance. Without hesitation, Naruko raced toward the commotion. She drew her Zambatus as she ran, the twin blades humming with anticipation. Dash. Meanwhile, Kiba was growing frustrated as he dodged another attack from a ninja from the hidden sound. The mission had been simple: escort a noble to Konoha. But now, he and his teammates, Lee, Hinata, and Sakura, were outnumbered and struggling. The noble cowered behind Sakura and Hinata, while Lee fought tirelessly to keep enemies at bay. Akamaru growled defensively, but the enemy was using disruptive techniques to disorient him. Kiba took a heavy hit and slammed into a tree, winded. Lee, though fast, was tiring quickly. Hinata blamed herself for not seeing the ambush coming with her Byakugan. Sakura, bruised and battered, gritted her teeth and stood her ground beside the others. Just as things seemed at their worst, the enemy ninjas at the rear were suddenly pulled into the forest. Startled yells were silenced in an instant. From the trees leapt a figure, tall, powerful, and fierce. Naruko crouched low as she landed, creating a small crater with the force. Her hair shone like sunlight, tied back with a red ribbon. Her coat fluttered in the breeze, and her strong frame exuded confidence and power. She looked half-turned toward the enemies and her comrades, calm and composed. Then she stepped forward, speaking clearly. "I really don't like sound, Nin. Let's make this quick." She rushed forward in a blur, the Zambatas singing as they moved. Within moments, the weaker enemies were disarmed and defeated. The leader stepped up, sword drawn. "You are the Toad Sage of Konoha. I am honored. My name is Aburai Kensuke. May I ask yours?" "I am Namikaze Naruko. And I accept your challenge," she replied, lifting her blades. The fight was swift and decisive. Seimata tore through defenses while Kubikiri followed up with precision. Naruko's footwork was elegant, her movement like a dance, fluid, fierce, and flawless. When the battle ended, she stood over her fallen opponent, Seimata's tip glowing with a swirling Rasengan. "Your technique was lacking. But I appreciate your spirit. Rasengan." With controlled force, she delivered the technique, ending the battle without unnecessary destruction. She returned her blades to her back and turned to the astonished group behind her. Her eyes softened as she recognized them. Her smile flickered slightly at the sight of a familiar pink-haired teammate, but she held it. "Hey everyone," she said, her voice warm. "Looks like I showed up just in time." They stared, speechless, not just from the battle, but from how much she had changed. And in that moment, Naruko realized that coming home would be more complicated than she had imagined. There are certain things a ninja becomes accustomed to over time: intense training, high-stakes missions, and the weight of responsibility. But seeing someone dear to you again after over 2 years and barely recognizing them at first glance? That's something no amount of training prepares you for. Especially when they now stand taller, carry 2 massive swords with ease, and have changed so dramatically in appearance and presence that it's hard to believe they were once the smallest in the squad. The first to react was Kiba, always the most outspoken. "Whoa, that was amazing. How do you even carry those huge swords like they're nothing? What happened to you? You're way taller than me now. What's with the new look? Can I check out the sword?" Before his excitement could spiral out of control, Hinata gently tapped him on the head, quieting him instantly. She then walked over and gave Naruko a warm embrace, surprised to realize that both she and Sakura now only reached up to her shoulders. Though her heart belonged to Kiba, Hinata couldn't help but notice how much Naruko had grown, both in stature and presence. "It's so good to see you again, Naruko. We've missed you so much." "Yes, my rival," Lee exclaimed enthusiastically. "Your return is a most youthful moment. I look forward to sparring with you after that incredible display of skill, though perhaps we should leave the swords out of it, yes? By the way, how did you manage to channel the Rasengan through that blade? That was amazing." "Lee. Maybe not now," Tenten interjected. "Let's just enjoy her return. Were you heading back to Konoha, Naruko? Would you like to walk with us the rest of the way?" "Of course I will," Naruko replied, a gentle smile on her face. "It's good to see you all again. If someone could wake Kiba up, we can head out. Akamaru, you'll carry him, won't you?" Akamaru barked his agreement. Naruko then turned to their client and bowed politely. "Hello again, Yamamoto. It's nice to see you. Are you heading to speak with Lady Tsunade?" "Haha, yes, Naruko. I'm helping coordinate the Chunin exams. I must say, your return is most timely. I imagine you'll be asked to assist in safeguarding the Hokage and our honored guests. I'll serve Lady Tsunade in any way I can, though I doubt she needs me as a guard." As everyone chatted, Sakura hung back, silently taking in Naruko's new appearance and demeanor. She had changed so much, and yet still had that ability to put everyone around her at ease. Sakura took in every detail, from the confident way Naruko stood to the faint shine of her forehead protector. The battle cloak she wore didn't hide her strength, it only hinted at the powerful figure beneath. Lee suddenly blinked and asked, "Naruko, why are you leaving footprints so deep in the ground?" "Oh. I forgot to channel chakra to my feet," Naruko said with a laugh. "The weights I wear are pretty heavy. Here, take my coat. You'll see." She tossed her coat to Lee, who was immediately flattened under its sheer weight. Kiba rushed to help him, both of them stunned by how heavy it was. They turned to look at Naruko in awe. Hinata quickly turned away, blushing, while Sakura didn't. She stood frozen, a slight trickle from her nose giving her away. Kiba nudged her. "Oi, Sakura. Stop staring and help Lee. Also, maybe clean your nose." Naruko raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. She swung her coat back on with practiced ease and resumed walking toward Konoha, the others hurrying to follow. Later, on the road. After about an hour of walking, the group gently encouraged Sakura to walk beside Naruko. Despite her hesitation, Akamaru gave her a helpful nudge forward, earning a small smirk from Naruko. "So," Sakura began, "how have you been, Naruko?" "Fine." "Well. That went well," Sakura thought, trying not to sigh aloud. "You've gotten really strong. How'd you learn all those techniques?" "Training." Sakura gritted her teeth. "Say something else." But before she could push further, Naruko turned the tables. "So, how are you and Sasuke doing?" That question struck deep. "Sasuke was captured shortly after you left. He was never released." "I see. I'm sorry. That must have been difficult." "It was. But I've accepted it. He made many mistakes. I moved on." Naruko nodded. So, what will you do once we're back in Konoha?" "Whatever Lady Tsunade needs." "Would you like to get ramen with me? My treat?" "No, thank you. I wouldn't want to take up your time. I'm sure someone special in your life would rather have that honor." "There's no one, Naruko." "Really?" Naruko gave a small shake of her head. "Still, I'll pass." "You're not a burden, Naruko." "I said no." Sakura gave a soft sigh. "All right. Maybe next time." She quietly fell back with the others. Naruko's eyes narrowed in thought. So Sasuke was gone. Still, she didn't want to be anyone's second choice. In her mind, the swords at her back seemed to whisper their disapproval at her reluctance to embrace happiness. Sakura, meanwhile, returned to Hinata's side, disheartened. She's distant, Hinata. Why? Maybe Naruko believes you still care about Sasuke. Or maybe she's convinced you only feel sorry for her, or see her as your second choice. Either way, Naruko's heart has been through a lot. You'll need to show her the truth with time and patience. "Thank you, Hinata. You've become so wise." Hinata smiled. "Not me. That wisdom comes from Naruko. She's helped me understand myself, and find happiness with Kiba. Now it's your turn to help her find hers." Sakura looked toward Naruko's back as she led the group ahead. "She's worth it. All the effort. Completely worth it." That night at camp. They settled around a quiet fire. Naruko's shadow clones kept watch, allowing the others to rest. Eventually, Naruko dozed off against a tree, her swords beside her. Curiosity eventually got the better of the group. "I'll check out Seimata," Kiba whispered. "Sakura, you try the other one." As Kiba reached for Seimata, a spark of chakra repelled him. Sakura, meanwhile, struggled to lift Kubikiri. She managed to drag it to her side and sat down, examining the massive blade. She absent-mindedly ran a finger along the edge, and the blade shimmered faintly. Intrigued, she read the inscription aloud. "The way of the Zanbattu is to maintain peace. The will of the master sharpens the blade and brings hope to those who deserve it." Moments later, she fainted, her body slumping gently to the grass. Within a dream. Sakura awoke in a field of orange flowers. Before her stood a tall, familiar figure. "Zabuza?" she asked, startled. "What is this?" The figure chuckled. "I'm not Zabuza. I am Kubikiri, Naruko's blade, given form to speak with you." Sakura lowered her hands. "Why are you speaking to me?" Because I sense the emotions in your blood, your sorrow, your desire. I want to know, is it truly Naruko you love? Or are you holding on to the past? Sakura hesitated, then lifted her head with firm resolve. I love Naruko. I know I made mistakes, but I want her to know the truth. I want a future with her. Kubikiri nodded, pleased. Then keep trying. Her heart is guarded, but not closed. Win it with honesty and strength. That is the key to unlocking her happiness, and yours. Sakura blinked, and awoke by the fire. She looked across the flames and saw Naruko's blue eyes watching them. Quietly, she returned the sword, placing it gently beside her. Interesting sword. Maybe I'll chat with the other one someday, she said playfully, smirking as she walked away. Naruko raised an eyebrow, puzzled. She turned to Kubikiri, who hummed innocently. I said nothing troubling, master. She's quite sincere, you know. Naruko shook her head with a soft sigh. We'll see. Dear YouTube family. That's a wrap for this part. Stick around, there's plenty more coming your way. Much love. 6 Path Weeb.